Happy December. And it's also a beautiful full moon. I hope you get to see it where you are. And I just wanted to check in because we're at like a completion point, you know? It is a full moon, the last full moon of 2025. And we're in this like week that it feels like a very important moment in time before we like really get into the next part of the holidays. Hey, Marina. And I tuned in with the Akasha yesterday to really feel like, okay, what's our theme and what's our work for December? And I wanted to share it here. And so what I heard from the Akashic records when I tuned in was our message and our theme and our invitation, if you find yourself seeing this video, is to actually have our year. And so the message is to really let yourself have 2025 and to really have the year. And what does that mean? So have is a word that working with the idea of having something has actually been a big theme for me through this whole 9-year cycle that we're closing up. And it really started, and so I want to explain what I mean by having here so that you can actually have your year and your experience. So when I first learned about the idea of having in this way, I had just moved to LA, and it was like a little over 9 years ago, and like I had more than I'd ever experienced before. Like I was making like the most money I'd ever made before, and it had like jumped in a very significant way. And I had also been in a serious relationship, and I was also in this very full life with my friends and family, and I suddenly was working with like more people than I'd ever worked with before, and it was like a lot to hold, and I actually didn't really know how to have that much. And so what happens when we don't know how to fully receive and experience everything we have in our life is like we stop being able to feel it. And so I moved to LA, and I kind of sabotaged like a few things in my personal life. And I got there and I became part of this community that was about like intimacy and pleasure and connection and learning how to really feel what your desire is. And so when I was first there and was first starting to like hang out with people in this community, you know, there was a lot of emphasis on like learning how to get really specific about your desire. Like, do you know how you like your tea? Could you tell someone else to make your tea in that way? Like really slowing down and feeling. And so we would start to like get comfortable with like sharing like really small desires and bigger desires. And oftentimes people in this community would say to you, you can have that. You can have it. And I started to really understand the idea of having something in a totally different way, where having is actually like slowing down and fully receiving it. And oftentimes, if we are not slowing down, if we're not fully able to fully receive, if we're overwhelmed, we start accumulating instead. And so I realized that there was a lot of things in my life that I thought I had because they were physically there, right? I had experienced them. I owned them. They were here, but I couldn't feel them. And how many times have we heard that, right? Like someone is like, has the thing they thought they were working towards and they can't feel it. And they constantly feel like they're in this place of striving and it never feels like it's enough, right? Like part of that is because we oftentimes are accumulating experiences or relationships or physical things, and we're not actually having them. And so like when I started to learn this idea, because I really showed up to this beginning of this 9-year cycle in the experience of like, there's so much I've wanted to have, and I actually don't know how to have it, and I'm therefore kind of just accumulating it. And the idea of learning how to move from accumulation to having was like the most life-changing thing. And like so it was like starting in that community where I started to think of the word having in this way. And it really was life-changing. And I've done a lot of work in my own, with my own clients and my own work with really bringing in the idea of having, because really what it is to finally let ourselves be impacted. So it doesn't just mean like, oh, I'm going to have the pleasure of something. Oh, I'm going to let myself delight in that. Of course, that's part of it. But the other part of it is like actually just receiving what's here and trusting that like this is the thing that's relevant because this is the thing that's here. And so whenever I first start with clients, we really talk about this and we make a commitment to like have what's here, like whether it's, like to me, like writing this book was truly having the experience of the grief and the loss and the total life transformation. It's like, that's what's in front of me. I can either feel like scarcity and tight and like my life is very small because I'm only giving myself permission to receive certain parts of it, or I can fully open up and just like have what's here. So 2025 was like not an easy year for most people. And it was also an ending year of this huge transformational cycle of the last 9 years. And so like, that's kind of what I'm feeling here. It's like, we have to decide that we're willing to have this year. We're willing to have why? Because it's our life and we deserve to have our life and fully receive the life that we have and fully experience the body that we have and fully be in the reality of the relationships that we have. And like when we can receive what's right in front of us, then we are being fueled to continue forward, because that's like really how life works. It's like the story keeps unfolding, and in order to let the story keep unfolding, we have to receive the bite that's in front of us, and we have to take that bite and digest it and like receive the wisdom from that, receive the contrast, receive the desires that come up from receiving what's right in front of us, and then that continues us on our path. So, so that's what I'm really feeling for us for 2025, for the last month of 2025, which really is the ending of this like unbelievable cycle we've been in since, the end of 2016, early 2017 into now. It's like, how life-changing has that been? And it's time to really let yourself have it. And so I just want to touch in again on why we may not have it, why we may not know how to have it. As I said, when I first learned this concept, there was a lot I had accumulated with professionally and financially and relationally. And I just like didn't know how to hold that much. I didn't know how to have that much, right? And so when we don't, why don't we always know how to have? So one reason is cultural conditioning. So sometimes we don't know how to receive things that are outside of what our family has had, what our inherited belief and conditioning tells us is possible. We sometimes don't even realize we have something in our life because our lens doesn't allow us to see, oh, this is wisdom, this is prosperity, this is love, this is fun, this is actually what I really want, right? Like sometimes we come from a culture that doesn't allow us to want the thing that we have. The last couple days I've been working with a lot of people who come from it's very traditional structures. I've been working with people in academia and doctors and lawyers. And it's a very interesting conundrum when you come from that sort of culture, right? Of that level of structure and regulation and having to have things be proven through that many layers of curriculum, and to actually begin to feel like, oh, wait, I have my own medicine. Oh, I have my own wisdom. Oh, I actually have access to this thing that wants to be expressed through me in this new way. And it can be hard to let yourself have the experience of your own wisdom and your own innate wisdom, your own innate medicine that comes from your unique soul and your unique journey. When you come from an ideology that's like, no, you have wisdom through this type of study and discipline, and it needs to be proven in this sort of way, right? So that's an example of why we might not have it. We also sometimes don't let ourselves have something when there's been trauma, because you know, a broken heart is an open heart, but it's painful to receive through a broken heart. It can be really painful to receive when we've gone through trauma, or we've had our boundaries crossed, or like we're grieving. It like, have you felt that? Maybe you know what I'm talking about. It can feel really painful to let things in. And we also may not have, so that's one piece. And actually, I'm going to read about from this at the end, because I actually realized there's a part in my book that's like literally about that. And then the other piece is like actually having our permission to have it. So again, that could be cultural. It could be because we've been hurt, or, you know, felt betrayed in some way, and it can be hard to let things in again. And we also actually need our permission to receive things, right? So sometimes we are like not willing to receive the thing that's right in front of us because we're waiting for something that's not here yet. We think the rules are that that thing comes after this thing. This has to happen first. This was supposed to happen first. This should happen first. And so sometimes we're not allowing ourselves to see the beauty or the magic or the really important experience that's right in front of us, because we're like at the bus stop waiting for the other bus, and we refuse to see the bus that's here. So that to me is like three of the really big reasons we might accumulate something versus have it. We might be in the experience of it's in our life and we know it's there, but we can't really feel it. We're not actually living from the wisdom of having received it. We're not actually feeling the gratitude and the security and the strength that came from receiving. We're still in this place of like, it's there, but I can't quite access it. And so those are some of the reasons why we might be accumulating rather than having. And there is actually like a transition between moving from accumulation to having. But I first want to just slow us down and like let yourself drop in to the things I just shared. And just letting yourself feel your year, just connecting for a minute. Because sometimes there's overwhelm, like maybe there's so much that happened in 2025 that you're not sure where to look. And maybe certain things have been so triggering or have taken so much attention and energy that you can't quite feel. And so one of the most important ways to move from, I accumulated a lot of things in this year, but I don't know if I'm having them. Or there's things I thought were going to happen this year and I don't think they happened, but maybe I'm not letting myself see it. The first thing is that we just want to slow down. And so just dropping down, letting yourself get slower. And letting yourself feel like if 2025, the year, is right in front of you. And at this point, like we kind of know what the year is about. We could, like we're kind of here. You're just going to picture that you're like touching the year. Maybe in your imagination, you let the year become a color, or you see the numbers 2025 in front of you, or you see an image that represents 2025. Just dropping down. And letting yourself imagine that you're touching the year. That it's in front of you and you can touch it. And just breathing in here and just letting yourself feel that. What does the year feel like? And whatever's coming up is the right thing. And as you're touching the year and feeling what 2025 feels like at this point, picture like you're taking that feeling and you're bringing it to your heart. And you're just going to let yourself have a heart connection with this year. With the way this was the right year for you. And you could have your own permission right now to just let yourself fully have the year that you had. And you don't have to explain it to anyone, and you don't have to prove it to anyone. This is your life. Your life, your path. Your body. Your experience, and you get to have it exactly how it is. And so just beginning to let yourself touch the year, feel what it felt like, and just bring it to your heart. And just making that commitment. This is my life. I'm going to let myself have my life. I'm going to let myself feel inspired and excited and heartbroken and disappointed and angry and happy and proud. I'm going to life is really just feeling. If you want to feel like you are in your life, you just have to let yourself feel everything that's here. If you're feeling confused or blocked or unsure where you're going, you got to just first let yourself feel what's here. And so just make a commitment. That's where the energy is bringing us today in this full moon, as we're in the energetic message for December, which is having your year. Just make the commitment. I'm going to have my year. I'm going to take the rest of this month to fully receive the messages, the wisdom, the gratitude, the gifts, the things that I need to have understood and received as I close out such a unbelievable transformative cycle and go into a brand new year with a totally different energy. I'm going to let myself have this year and let it nourish and fuel me and direct me. And it's going to start by letting myself feel. I'm going to let myself feel. I'm going to have my feelings this month. And as I let myself have my feelings, I'm going to fully receive the prosperity of this year and this month. And so just keeping your hand at your heart for a moment and just feeling your higher self, kind of that soul part of you, the part of you that already knows what happens and is kind of making the plan, creates the adventure for your human personality. Just feeling your higher self. And I want you to just imagine this and then like breathe it in. Imagining your soul, your higher self, the part of you that's guiding this whole process is just wrapping their arms around you. So happy and proud and grateful for what you've created with your life this year. And just take a breath. Imagine that your soul is just embracing you, so happy, proud, and grateful for what you have created with your life this year. And as you breathe in, you're just going to let yourself receive that. Receive your own reassurance that you've done what you're here to do. Receive your own gratitude and pride and relief. And just taking a few more breaths that way, breathing that in, maybe even putting your arms around yourself and just feeling your own gratitude for yourself, letting yourself have that. And just feeling the way that's how we start to really have our life. We slow down and we get into relationship with ourselves and our heart and our feelings. So that we're not numb and disassociated and like wondering why it feels like we're striving but never arriving. It's because like this is actually the root of having and receiving, is truly being here. And then from here, we expand our capacity to have more. And we start to have more and more of what we want in our life. And we start to realize more and more how much our life already has a lot of what we're looking for. But we first have to just be here and feel. And I'm just going to ask if there's anything else in the Akashic field to share right now. And the thing I'm really hearing is just you deserve to be proud of yourself. And again, sometimes we aren't seeing certain things that we think needed to happen or should have or were supposed to. So we're like not ready to receive our own celebration, our own gratitude, our own pride, our own truth that like actually what needed to happen has happened. Actually, this is the reality of my life, and this is my life, and I get to have it, and I get to receive it. And I don't have to wait until certain things are here to have it. I can break whatever rule that is. And so just really breathing that in, just I deserve and I now receive my own gratitude for the beautiful job I've done this year in being me. And just relaxing the base of the spine and the hips, the lower belly, letting the heart relax, letting the whole body relax, and just letting something clear and release. Something you can let go of. And one thing is just seeing if you can just clear and release a way in which you've been criticizing your year. A way in which you've been criticizing or judging how this year went for you. Just letting that release. There's so much for you to receive from your year, and there's so much for you to receive from your life exactly as it is right now. And sometimes we're just slowing down to actually have it. So we can just know what we've needed to clear, we've cleared. What we've needed to receive, we've received. And that's how we're going to work with December. We're going to let ourselves have our year. We're going to let ourselves start the celebration now and really be proud and really allow this to have been the right year. And the more we just take, and again, like having our year means like if there's grief, if there's disappointment, if there's like frustration, like we have that too. But like we don't have to numb or disconnect or pretend we don't see things or wait for something. Like this is it. This is 2025. And so imagine if we take the next 3 weeks of 2025 and just decide to have our life and have this year, like the miracles that can open, the things we can suddenly realize are here that we could receive, the rules we can break that allow the thing to be here now. So yeah, there's so much more I would like to say and digest about having. Do I want to read this? Yeah, I think I'm gonna. Am I going to read this now? I'm just thinking about it. I want to tell you that I feel so inspired by this theme that there's many different types of classes I've done with having it. But in 2022, I did a class called Having the Gift of 2022. And I just updated it today, and I'm going to do Having the Gift of 2025. I know this is like last minute, but I'm going to do that on Sunday at 12 p.m. So, and it's like, it's $10. I'll put a link here. It's super easy. You can just register, and we're going to do a deeper process of really digesting and receiving this year. So if this really like turned something on for you and you're like, wow, I just really like touched a lot of feelings and I'm really in my heart and I'm like really realizing like there's a lot I've accumulated, but not a lot I let myself actually have. And like, if a lot just opened for you in this experience, then join me for an hour, 15 minutes where we're going to have like a really profound experience, and you're going to go into the rest of this month like really understanding it and being able to enjoy and celebrate the conversations that we find ourselves in at the end of the year when we start to share where we're at and how our year has been. So yeah, I wanted to just share that too. I'll put a link to that. It just really came to me today to offer that, and we'll continue this having this journey, and we'll go from there. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll talk soon.